The cornerback position is one of the most important position groups in the NFL. The 2024 NFL Draft certainly has loads of talent at that position. Today we're going to be diving into my top 10 corners in the 2024 NFL Draft. Let's dive right into it here. Starting with number 10, I have Ennis Rakestraw Jr. out of Missouri. Really like Rakestraw. He's a junior, 6 foot, 188 pounds. In 2023, he had a 78.7 PFF coverage grade, had 2 pass breakups and 0 interceptions. But the thing about Rakestraw, I really like kind of his instincts and his zone coverage ability, his understanding of reading offensive schemes and structures, reading the quarterback's eyes, knowing where to be and where to attack the football, where to drift into certain zones to prevent big plays. I really like a lot of those things. I also think he is very athletic as well. I think that's one of his biggest strong suits. He's willing to come up and be physical in the run game, willing to come up and make a tackle after a catch. So I definitely like a lot of those traits. I think he is not necessarily the most polished, true man-to-man corner. I think he can allow a little bit of separation there. One of the main things that we look for, one of the traits that I look at here is route squeeze. I have it in the middle of the screen. Essentially, route squeeze is going to be your ability to come up after the wide receiver makes a break, your ability to react quickly and kind of shorten that space, shorten that separation as quickly as possible. I think it's one of the most important traits of playing the cornerback position, and I think Rakestraw does it at a decent level right now. I think that's still an area he can improve in, and that would allow his man-to-man ability to be a little bit stronger as well. He doesn't have a ton of experience in press man as well, so I think he is going to be somebody that you have to kind of scheme around. I think he is definitely going to be very, very good in zone coverage from day one in the NFL, but you may have to be a little bit more selective with his true man-to-man assignments. Additionally, he doesn't have a lot of experience when it comes to knocking the ball away, getting interceptions, things like that. Only 2 pass breakups, 0 interceptions this year in 2023. Doesn't have many throughout his career as well. That can be a good thing. That means you can be a lockdown corner and you're just really not getting thrown at very much, but I do think it's pretty untested at this point, his ability to break up passes at the catch point, and that's a very important part of playing the cornerback position. So just kind of a question mark there. Right now, I have an 80.47 grade on him, and that's about a late second, early third round grade. I really like Rakestraw. I definitely think he could be a very nice player on day 2 for an NFL team. Moving on to number 9, I have Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo. He's a junior, 6 foot, 196 pounds, and I really liked watching Mitchell's tape. It's very fun to watch a MAC player at that kind of level where he is just so clearly the best player on the field, and he had a couple of real takeover performances, had 15 pass breakups and an interception in 2023. Also had an amazing 91.4 PFF coverage grade. This guy was really, really dominant against the MAC competition, which is something that you want to see. Against the lower level of competition, you want to see that guy dominate, and Mitchell absolutely has. I think there are some really strong points in his game. He's a very good man coverage corner. His ability to kind of match route and understand how offenses are trying to attack him and where the wide receiver is trying to go. He has a very good understanding of that. He has decent instincts as well. I think his zone coverage is something that can continue to be improved on, and they don't really ask him to press too much, which, considering his size, he is a very kind of physically imposing corner, especially against some of the smaller guys at that wide receiver position. They don't ask him to press too much. I think he could definitely do that, and I think he could do it at a much higher rate. He is somebody that is a little bit stiff. He's high-waisted and doesn't necessarily have the elite change of direction, which I do think can impact his ability to squeeze on routes and really kind of limit that separation if the wide receiver does have a big break in their route concepts. But he has really good speed. He has good size. I definitely think that there are some really, really good traits, the best of which being his ball skills. He is so good at understanding where and when the ball is coming and then just being able to go up and attack it. He has a great vertical ability, the ability to jump up, fight through the wide receiver's hands. He can both turn his head and look for the football and get interceptions and break up passes, but he can also play through the wide receiver if he's playing trail technique and man coverage. He can read the wide receiver's eyes and really does a good job, preventing too many penalties, and I really like what he can do in that part of the game. He's also a good tackler, can come up and make tackles as well. So I have a true round 2 grade on him, an 81.64. I think there will be a little bit of an adjustment when it comes to the competition and that level that he's facing there, but I really do like Mitchell, and I think he is going to be a very fun player that should go in round 2. At number 8, we have TCU corner Josh Newton, 6 foot, 196 pounds. A lot of these guys are pretty well built. It is a big, long, athletic cornerback class, and Newton is no exception to that. He's a senior. In 2023, had a PFF coverage grade of 78.7, had 6 pass breakups and an interception. And I think this dude just does a lot of things really well. He's a well-built, thick corner. He can be really instinctive in zone coverage. That's his biggest, strength within that cornerback position. He's not necessarily the best in true man-to-man situations. He can allow a little bit of separation. He can bite on head fakes and some really good routes. So I think there's still room for improvement when it comes to his true man-to-man ability, but I love his instincts in zone, his understanding of offensive schemes and where they're looking to attack, his ability to recognize where wide receivers are in their route concepts, come down, make plays, be physical. I really like a lot of that ability. I don't think he's necessarily elite in any one area. I see him more as probably a cornerback 2 at the next level with nice traits that could potentially turn into a cornerback 1, but you look at, he's got good traits, good size, speed combination. He is had some experience in press coverage. I think he's relatively scheme versatile. Maybe not the best true man-to-man guy, but you can move him kind of around, play him in a lot of different looks and positions. I also think he has solid ball skills. His tackling is good, but not the most consistent thing. He's pretty decent at squeezing on routes and preventing massive separation. So I think Newton's just kind of an all-around complete player. He maybe doesn't have those elite standout traits that you really look for in a dominant corner 1, but I definitely think he could be a cornerstone of a secondary and be a really nice piece for whatever team drafts him. I have a second round grade, an 82.81 for Josh Newton, somebody that I think is going to be a very nice player for many years in the NFL. Then at number 7, a guy that a lot of people have in the first round conversation and a lot of people have within their top 5 cornerbacks, it's Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, a redshirt sophomore, so dominating at a young age in the SEC is very impressive. He's 6 foot, 196 pounds, and has some really impressive production. He has an 86.3 PFF coverage grade, 12 pass breakups, and 5 interceptions this year. You absolutely love to see that kind of production on the ball. Has really good ball skills, understanding of how to attack it in the air, and being a ball winner. Even when the wide receiver maybe has an advantage, he can fight through that and really either break up the pass or get interceptions himself as well. Really with Arnold of times, he's just got great ability, strength at the point of contact and the release, and an understanding of how to match wide receivers' routes and come away winning that rep. I really like his tackling, his physicality, his ball skills, and his ability to just match those wide receivers stride for stride almost every play. I do think there are some inconsistencies, and I do think he is going to be a little bit scheme dependent. I think he's a little bit high-waisted and a little bit tight as well, which does prevent him from squeezing on those routes and really preventing a lot of separation if there is, a big route break or something like that within the concept. But I really like Arnold. I think he's a solid player. I just think there are some limitations in his ability within zone coverage, which is why I have a true second round grade on him, an 83.20. Then moving on to number 6, we have TJ Tampa out of Iowa State. Tampa's a very unique player. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, has really good length, good size, good speed, athleticism. All of those things are really impressive. He's a senior in 2023. He had a 79.0 PFF coverage grade, 6 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. But his kind of play style doesn't necessarily match exactly what you would expect. With that kind of size, speed, athleticism, you'd expect him to be a bump and run, press man corner. And he can do that, but really his strength is in zone coverage. It's watching the quarterback's eyes, looking around, being instinctual, and understanding where those concepts are attacking and being able to anticipate that, drive downhill, and make plays on the ball. That's really where Tampa is super effective. He has very good tackling. His ability in the running game is very, very impressive. They'll almost put him kind of as a pseudo linebacker in certain sets, let him seal the edge and be an effective run defender. So that is definitely a big, big benefit of having Tampa on the field. I also think he has pretty good ball skills as well. That's certainly a strong suit. Doesn't necessarily have the elite numbers, but 6 pass breakups, 2 interceptions is a very productive year. And I think he's shown that really whenever the ball is thrown his way, he either gets a hand up, is disruptive at the catch point, fights through the wide receiver all the way to the ground. I do really like his understanding of how to attack the ball in the air. He has great route squeeze, the ability to just limit that separation, even though there might be initial separation in man-to-man coverage because he's not the strongest at that. His ability to anticipate where that wide receiver is going moving forward is really, really good. And the ability to squeeze and minimize that separation is really impressive. I think he has solid traits. He is a little bit stiff, like a lot of these guys, since they are taller. They're not necessarily great in short areas. There's something that, they can certainly run with you on a deep ball, but they might get taken advantage of a little bit within the short and intermediate game where there's quick route breaks, things like that. I still think that he can be susceptible to some of that. He doesn't have the most experience in press coverage, which again is not what you'd expect to see from a 6'2", 200-pound corner. I like a lot of the traits of TJ Tampa. I'd feel comfortable taking him at the end of round 1 or early round 2. I have an 86.33 grade on him, and I really, really like what TJ Tampa could be. I also think that if you don't love him at corner, he could be a really, really effective safety for you as well. Moving to number 5, we have Denzel Burke out of Ohio State. Burke could go back to college and potentially be one of the best corners in the draft next year. I certainly think that's still possible, but I really, really liked what I saw from Burke on film for 2023. Definitely a big improvement over his film from last year. He's a junior, 6'1", 190 pounds, had a coverage grade of 81.3, 7 pass breakups, and an interception. And I think he's a very scheme versatile type of player. I think you can put him in press man coverage and he can be effective. I think he's shown that at times, his ability to be physical at the line of scrimmage and match wide receivers' routes and their concepts. I think he can do that at a very high level. And, I think you can play him in off coverage. His ability to kind of read and react is very good as well. But I think his best kind of scheme and trait is his zone coverage and his instincts and ability to just kind of recognize when to come up and be an impactful player coming downhill. He is very, very good in that regard. He's a very athletic player. I think that he is one of those guys that maybe isn't as high-waisted and as limited in his kind of hip flexibility and swivel and ability to match on those quick breaking routes. His ability to kind of squeeze is very, very impressive amongst this class. Has good ball skills as well. They're not the most tested. The past couple of years hasn't been thrown to a ton because he's been a pretty lockdown corner for Ohio State, but I do think he's shown some improvement within the ball skills department. The main kind of thing with Denzel Burke is you don't love his tackling. He comes up, he's willing, but he's just not very consistent at bringing guys to the ground, both in the running game and after he allows a catch. You've got to be able to bring those guys down. Tackling in the secondary is incredibly important and underrated. So that's a thing that Burke absolutely does need to clean up. He has the size, he has the athleticism, and he has the willingness too. You've just got to be a little bit more consistent in that regard for Burke to be a true dominant cornerback 1 in the NFL. Right now, I feel confident taking him end of round 1, early round 2, an 86.72 grade, and I really, really like what he could be for an NFL team. Next, at number 4, I think we have many people's corner 1. It's Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. He's 6'1", 195 pounds, the junior. He had an 86.9 PFF coverage grade, 4 pass breakups, and 0 interceptions in 2023. Definitely wins the all-name award, no doubt about that, and his press man technique is definitely, I think, one of the best, if not the best, in this class. He is really, really good at that one specific thing, and really he does not get beat very often. When he can get his hands on you at the line of scrimmage and kind of match your technique, he is definitely going to win the majority of the reps. Even if he loses early on, I think he's very good at squeezing the route, limiting the separation, and playing in trail technique. Really has no issue doing that, and he is just a very natural man-to-man, press man, be physical with your corner. His size and speed combination is really good. He has fluid movement ability, can kind of match wide receiver route breaks really, really well. He has decent ball skills, had only 4 pass breakups this year, but had a ton the year before. So definitely has shown that ability. He's a good tackler. He's not always the most willing to kind of stick his nose in there and be physical, but when he does, he's definitely a good tackler. And he has some pretty good instincts as well. I just think he is a little bit kind of reliant on that press man technique. I don't think he's particularly natural in zone coverage. He can do it, and when he played it, I don't think he looked bad by any means. But I do think that there is just kind of a reliance on that press man coverage. If he goes to the right scheme, I definitely think that he could be the best corner from this class. All 4 of these top guys are very, very close in my mind. So I really don't have any issue with anybody ranking McKinstry as their corner 1. I just think he's perhaps the most kind of pigeonholed into one specific scheme due to his strengths within the game. I have a true first round grade, an 88.67 grade on McKinstry, and I definitely think he'll be a good corner 1 for a team in the NFL as long as they have press man coverage as kind of one of their big defensive play calls. Next, we have Nate Wiggins, the corner from Clemson. I think the best true just man-to-man cover guy in this draft. I think that he doesn't necessarily play much press man, unlike McKinstry. He's not all up in the wide receiver's face off the line of scrimmage. Wiggins is more of an off-man type of player where he has a little bit of space, but he has the ability to read and react. He has amazing instincts. That's definitely his number 1 trait, besides just the true man coverage ability and his natural athleticism. I really, really like his ability to read and react, understand where the wide receiver is looking to attack, and just being able to come downhill, accelerate quickly with that athleticism, and being able to break up the ball at the catch point. He's not the best in zone. I don't think he is bad at it by any means, but I definitely think off coverage is going to be his best trait man-to-man. I think that allows him to really kind of read the quarterback, read the man in front of him, and react quickly because he is so athletic and he is so instinctual. Keeping that wide receiver in front of him and not turning his back to the quarterback, I think is really where he is the most effective. Has good ball skills, has a really good understanding of a lot of different defensive concepts and abilities to be scheme versatile, even if he is so good in that off coverage man. I think his tackling is pretty good. He's not always the most physical in the running game, but he's definitely shown a couple of examples of a willingness to chase guys down, show off his speed and athleticism. So I definitely think that there are some really, really good things to like about Wiggins. I think he'll be corner 1 on a lot of different boards. Again, a lot of this is kind of pick your flavor. What kind of coverage do you like running? What kind of schemes and strengths are you looking for within your defense that you're looking to run? Because I think all of these guys have corner 1 potential in this draft and in the NFL as well. Wiggins is a little bit lighter. He's 6'2", 185 pounds, but had a very good year in 2023, an 82.2 coverage grade, 4 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. I think that really a lot of teams avoided throwing his way. And, Florida State, if you go back and watch that tape, Keon Coleman really did nothing against him and then started playing pretty well, scored a touchdown at the end when Wiggins was not on him. So I think Wiggins is a true shutdown, lockdown corner. If you play him in that off-man coverage, I think he is going to be a great corner for you for many, many years. At number 2, a guy that I am definitely higher on than most, it's Kamari Lassiter, the corner out of Georgia, a junior, 6 foot, 180 pounds. Definitely a little bit on the lighter side, but has an 86.0 PFF coverage grade, 5 pass breakups, and no interceptions. This guy just has amazing instincts and the ability to just recognize how the wide receiver is trying to attack him, how the offense is trying to attack their coverage, and just the ability to come downhill and make a play on the ball, the ability to understand zone concepts. I definitely think that he is incredibly scheme versatile. Press man-to-man coverage, he can definitely be effective. In zone coverage, I think that's where he's best, but he can definitely play a variety of different coverages. He can play, cover 2 short zone. He can play in cover 3 off coverage or cover 4. I also think he can be that true physical presence at the line of scrimmage as well. His traits are really good. He has good size and speed combination. I do think his ability to limit separation on the routes is really good. He can be a little bit grabby at times in true press man-to-man situations, but you have got to love all the traits and scheme versatility that you see with Lassiter. Really kind of a little bit untested when it comes to ball skills. He had 5 pass breakups and no interceptions in 2023. Hasn't had many interceptions over the course of his career, but I think it's really due to his just true lockdown nature at that corner position. Other teams just pretty much try to avoid him because I don't think he really allows much separation for even the best wide receivers in the SEC. Last year is a guy I just really am high on, an 89.45 true round 1 grade. I definitely would have no reservations taking this guy within the middle of that first round, maybe even in the top 15. I think he is that good of a player. And I really like his ability and his traits to potentially be a corner 1 in the NFL and maybe in the conversation for corner 1 in this draft. But for right now, that corner 1 title will go to Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. DeJean is just a playmaker at the cornerback position. He's a punt returner. He's somebody that had 5 interceptions last year, just had 2 interceptions this year and 4 pass breakups, but was dealing with some injuries, did miss some time, had a 76.8 PFF coverage grade. And this guy is just electric with the ball in his hands. He's pretty much as built in a lab as you could get at the corner position. He's 6'1", 207 pounds, a big, thick, long corner. And I love his man coverage ability. He's very comfortable in trail technique. His understanding of wide receiver routes, his unwillingness to bite on fakes and really put himself in compromising situations is really impressive. He's very comfortable, doesn't panic when he gets beat, and I just love his ball skills as well. He's just so good at being instinctive and ripping downfield when the ball is coming his way, breaking up passes, understanding concepts and things that other corners just don't see. Cooper DeJean he's at a very different level. Not to mention the traits are electric. This guy moves just differently than pretty much every other corner prospect in this draft. He's not necessarily the best at squeezing the separation when he does allow it, and I don't think he has a ton of experience in press coverage. That's really one area that you would like to see him have a little bit more experience in, with him being 6'1", 207 pounds. But his zone coverage is very instinctual. He has a good understanding of it. Man coverage, he's very comfortable in as well. He's a willing tackler. He's got great ball skills, good instincts, great traits. Really not much that you can complain about with Cooper DeJean. I think he could be an absolute all-star at corner, or one of the best safeties in the NFL if you do want to go with that route as well. I think for teams that have needs at both, you draft this guy and kind of see where he is best, because he may be even more impactful using his size, understanding of coverages and athleticism in that safety spot. But he's also ranked as my number 1 corner. I think this guy is a playmaker. You put him at punt returner, this guy just knows how to make plays. I really like DeJean, and he is my corner 1 in the NFL draft, a 91.02 round 1 grade. Definitely will grade out as a top 15 player for me. So I love DeJean and think he is a great cornerback prospect. The top 4, though, really close in my mind. I think you could kind of flip them however you like, especially based on scheme versatility and what you're running on defense. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who is corner 1 in this draft? Who are some of your favorite cornerback prospects? Let me know down below. If you like this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button down below. Helps push this video out to other NFL and NFL draft fans just like you. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.